it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it.
And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma.
Welcome everybody to another episode of Head to Head with Brian Parker. I am he. And we are back this week with our great panel, chopping it up, talking about what's going on in the world, mostly in the world of life and politics. So without further ado, we have Miss the Queen, Lori Parker. How are you, Lori?
Well. Hello.
Are you she?
I am.
Okay. She a little low key this time. Mr. CJ Jones, how you doing, sir?
Hey, how you doing? Good.
Good. CJ's ready to go biking after the call, so that's good. Then we have Mr. Brad Carlton. How you doing, sir?
Sir, yes, sir. I'm always good. Always an honor to be.
Man, them trees is blowing real nice behind you. That is fantastic.
Life is good. Life is good, man.
And last but not least, everybody, sit up straight. Make sure that you're at attention. We have with us today a man of the military, but more importantly, we have the one and only franchise. We have the man that brings all of our viewers to us. He hands them over to us. Just today, I saw that he brought us another viewer from the great Dominican Republic. Last week it was Paraguay. This week it is the DR. And I did say aura.
Aura.
Careful with those Dominican women. Careful.
Woo, Lord. Don't get me on here sweating with my wife on it. But let's bring him up. Let's bring him up, everybody. Let's get it up for Mr. Jermaine, the franchise. Parker, how you doing, sir?
Hey, man. I'm hopefully coming to you like your stimulus check. Soon.
It's on the way.
It's gonna be stimming.
Hey, I'm glad you did a great segue. Let's talk about some stimulus.
Oh yeah.
Joe Biden was able to sign the American Rescue Bill today. That is a 1.9 trillion, right?
Yeah.
$1 trillion package. After having to push this through a process known as reconciliation, which most people did not. You will learn more and more about politics just because of how polarizing it is. We learned a lot about impeachment. Now you learn a lot about why things don't happen in Congress. And this would not have happened through regular order because of a process of a filibuster that normally requires 2/3 of the Congress or 60 votes. I'm sorry, of the Senate, not the House, but of the Senate to pass. It is not a simple majority. Now, a lot of the things were regulated to the filibuster, but over the years they have made exceptions to the filibuster. The most recent one was the appointment of judges, so that it only took a simple majority to bring Supreme Court nominees not only through committee, but onto the floor and let a simple majority vote for them. Simple majority could be 50 votes. If you are the party that also has the White House, then you automatically are in the majority because the vice president presides as president of the Senate. So that vice president then has a tie-breaking vote, even if you have a majority as small as 50-50. Again, sidebar, this is another reason that Republicans do not want to have two senators from the state of Washington, D.C. Because those are two seats that will never be Republican, ever.
Yeah.
Well, you know, and that's why they don't want it, because it would be 52-50 easily. and Kamala Harris would not have to bring her hair over to the Senate and pass the bill. But as it stands right now, there is a 50-50 Senate. Chuck Schumer is the majority leader simply because Joe Biden is the president. If there was a Republican that was in the White House, then the Turtle McConnell would still be the majority leader. But even with that said, and even with people just wanting to play in their corners, all the Republicans have basically decided that they're just going to say no and force things to happen through reconciliation, which is what happened. What it basically means is that there's certain procedures that you can use to get around the 60 vote threshold. They did attempt to try to get some bipartisanship going early on, but when Joe Biden announced the $1 trillion package, 10 Republicans that weren't very serious went over to the White House with a $617 billion proposal, which is only a third of what he was looking for. You know, if I'm negotiating a contract like Dak Prescott and Dak says I want 40 million, Jerry Jones said, hey, how about we start at 17? Bruh, we don't even need to talk. Tell you what. You see how that goes? You know, if you're trying to negotiate,
that's basically what happened.
Or put it plain for people that don't have $1 million jobs. If you make, you know, $80,000, $90,000 a year and you're trying to negotiate and they talking about, hey, we really love everything about you. We think that you'd be a great addition to the job. But let's say we start you around, let's say about 34.
But man, I think so. One of the things that Republicans were saying about the bill and why they didn't vote for it was that the last bill still has an insane amount of money out there that hasn't been spent or touched. And so what their point is that why are we doing another bill when we hadn't spent all the money from our last efforts? And you know, my problem with that is that the way that I understand bills work is that when the money is allocated, it's allocated. It doesn't matter if it ever gets spent. And you know, as my brother said, you know, having been a government worker for over 20 years, I'm kind of familiar about how bills work and allocations and stuff. And so when something's allocated in a spending bill, you can be like, well, it wasn't spent, but that doesn't matter. You know, there's a dozen reasons why it didn't happen. But I think the thing that the Republicans missed out on was that the direct relief. They could have come up with okay, well, let's just do a smaller package aimed at direct relief, and not such a huge package, and we can break it up into different bills. I think, unfortunately for the Republicans right now, they're spending more time on the floor talking about cancel culture, racism in the royal family, Dr. Seuss, Kermit the Frog, and they're not talking about politics. At least right. The loudest voices are not talking policy.
Right.
And so I think that's where they kind of, the same things that how I complain about the Dems missing the boat about messaging and stuff. At least they're on policy. I might not agree with everything they come up with or the things they conceded on or just said they couldn't do, but at least they're talking about policy and stuff. And that's what this bill is. It was good policy because it was overwhelming. I think like 73%, 8%. People want money. Right. And I know there's people out there going, well, they're just bribing you with your own money and stuff. Right. Okay, well, bribe me with my money because I don't think you do anything with it. Give it back to me.
That's how I look at it.
Well, I mean, how can they say that when the last buffoon went as far as to have his name put on the stimulus check?
Yeah.
Well,
held it up.
A lot of it's politics. Yeah. Go ahead, Laura.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think it's I think Republicans don't know where to be right now. I think. No. There was some things in this bill that they could have wrapped their arms around and kind of supported. Says, hey folks, in my district, look what we got done. You sent us here to do a job. We did a job. We got it done. This is for you. But they didn't take that route. They took the old let's satisfy Trump and vote no across the board.
No matter what's in it.
what we've heard
Right.
is that a couple of them are running advertisements saying the same thing. Look what we're delivering to you, but you voted no on it.
Right.
No.
Absolutely.
So the thing about there's a couple of things. Obviously, it's been a year. We're marking a year since we've been in this situation, and
Today.
the government has provided $1,200 in a 1-year period. Am I right?
That's
Well,
correct, sir.
1800.
1,800. It's been 18.
We got to 600 in December. Yeah.
Yes.
Right. I'm not a math guy, but I think if you start hitting the calculator, that's pretty paltry compared to what Canada is doing and what some other countries have done
Right.
in this period. The other thing is, remember when the Trump tax cut went
Yeah.
through?
Yes.
Same amount. This bill, Biden's bill, Trump's tax bill, virtually the same amount.
Same amount.
They
Remember,
didn't have a problem with that.
remember they were celebrating in the Rose Garden with Trump about it.
They didn't have a problem with that.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And all of your analysts are telling you the majority of this tax bill benefits the top 5-10% of earners in this country, period.
Mhm.
All benefits the wealthiest Americans. It doesn't benefit, the regular working folks. So, it tells you where their priorities are. And,
Well, Brad, there's a really good reason for that. Even though a senator, folks in Congress make about $180,000 a year, most senators are millionaires.
Most of them.
Hell, some of them are multi-millionaires, and some of them are really close to being in the next category.
Yeah.
So, yes, they want to please those top 5-10% of people. That's who helps fund their campaigns. It's not us that basically can rub 2 pennies together, much less contribute that $3 from our taxes to go to funding presidential campaigns. They know we ain't doing it. It's the corporations that are doing it. That's why they want to take care of them. They tell them what to think. They tell them how to walk. They tell them how to talk. They tell them how to vote, unfortunately. And because of the way of politics, you're constantly running for office. People had already basically, without announcing that they're running for president in 2024, you can already start to see who's posturing for it already.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yes, the stimulus. I mean, not just the stimulus, the rescue plan. What's in it? What could people have voted for? Wrap their hands around. The direct payments is the biggest thing. And Jermaine is right. Certain things are allocated and put to that side, but they don't go straight out. They're used when needed, but they've been allocated. Now, the Republicans wanted to call this just a huge Democratic wish list. And okay, is that what you want to call it?
Call it what you want to.
Call it a wish list. So there's something wrong with giving direct payments to folks that have been struggling, $1,400. Is there something wrong with unemployment benefits that we're going to run out in just 3 more days to making sure that people have enough enhanced unemployment benefits? Was it the child tax credit that they extended that was an extra $3,000 for children 6 to 17, $3,600 for kids under 6? Was it the Paycheck Protection Plan that gave them an extra $7.25 billion in new money for small businesses? Was it the $128 billion in education? Was that the wish list? Was it supporting low-income families with $4.5 billion for low-income home energy assistance, which helps people pay their heating and electrical bills because of this? Was it giving the CDC more money for vaccines, research, contact tracing, PPE, and all that kind of stuff? Was it giving another $25 billion to the Small Business Administration to make sure that businesses don't go out of business permanently? Was it the $25 billion in rental assistance that helps people be able to pay their rent and give them emergency housing vouchers in case they're homeless, survivors of domestic violence, or victims of human trafficking? That's a wish list?
And don't forget transit as well.
Damn.
Yeah.
You're going to be tagged the party that said no to everything I just said. Wow. But if this was about making sure that Goldman Sachs needed more money, if Jamie Dimon came over there and said, hey, we need some more money, if Elon Musk came and said we needed some more money, If Zuckerberg said, "Hey, we need some more money," boy, that check would fall out their hand. Here
Yeah,
you go. Here you go.
because it's different.
Because this ain't
it's
for the
different.
real people. All this stuff is
Right.
They kept talking about targeting. You're targeting people that have been affected the most by this pandemic, and you're calling this a socialist wish list.
You know, first of all, let me say that I need to come more prepared to these head-to-heads, like my brother Brian, because there was a list. I knew, like, I've read it, but I definitely need to have some notes on my teleprompter or something to help me out. I'm more here for the snide comments. But what the problem is,
I'm dead.
what the problem is for Republicans is that they have a level of hypocrisy that is quite right now. It's just unmatched, because as their man said, promises made, promises kept. Everything that you just listed off were the things that Democrats campaigned on. They said they were going to do these things. And if I remember right, Trump won the Electoral College by the same amount as Biden, but Biden actually won the popular vote too, by about 7-8 million. And they said that they had and Trump lost the popular vote by about what, 3-4 million?
3 million.
Mhm.
Yeah, about
3 million. I'm gonna say 4 because it makes me feel good. But and they said on TV, we have a mandate to give these people what they want because they put us in office and stuff. And that's the thing. Democrats have the same mandate. That's probably why, and we want them to feel the same things like Republicans did. They wanted conservative judges, they wanted tax breaks, they wanted all this other stuff, and they got that stuff. Us poor people said we want all the things that my dear brother listed, but we wanted minimum wage.
Yes.
We wanted the AG. And Garland's in there now because Biden says that, hey, there's going to be an overhaul of Department of Justice, and they're going to start looking at these cases with police brutality and stuff. We wanted that. I mean, we had our wish list that they campaigned on and said, yeah, that's good stuff. So it's not, they can talk about Democrats and stuff, but they just get up there and say, hey, we promised you these things, and these are the things that we were able to do. Unfortunately, the whole thing about limiting who the checks are going to go to based on income, that wasn't what they campaigned on. They talked themselves out of a higher amount. Don't get me wrong. When the 14 hit, I'm gonna hit the streets too. I'm kidding. That's the mortgage payment. But when the money hits and stuff. I'm gonna use it, but they promised 2,000.
Yeah,
right.
Yes.
But I'm not mad at that because if you take the 1,400 plus, if you have children, what they're going to kick in, I forget what the added is for dependents and stuff. But it's gonna help. It's gonna help everyday Americans, and I think that's what's most important. Because like you talk about the billionaires and stuff, they don't need any more help. There are a lot of people out there who are struggling. And and they need their representatives to represent them and get that money in their hands.
Absolutely. It's just sad that we'll sit there. I mean, they'll sit there and just kind of laud everything for the businesses, but when it comes to regular people, and that was the thing that really got me. I understand the whole idea about the $15 minimum wage not fitting in a COVID relief plan, but I also understand that Democrats have realized lessons that they learned when Obama was in office, that the longer you keep trying to dance with a partner that don't know how to dance, you just gonna get left on the floor by yourself.
Right.
With nothing.
More or less like just refuse to dance.
Exactly. They're refusing. You're absolutely right, CJ. They're refusing to dance. Yeah. It's not that you're right. It's not that they don't know. It's
not that they can't. Right.
They're not interested. They're not interested because it doesn't give them a political incentive. Now, this thing that they're doing, once these people start to see the relief, Johnson & Johnson is on board. They're even working with their competitor. Just slipped my mind. Man, I do know my notes. but Johnson & Johnson is trying to get more of the vaccine out. So right now we have 3 viable vaccines out there. There's another one that's going to be coming out probably next month, but it's already been forecasted that there'll be enough vaccines to vaccinate everybody by May.
Yeah.
So the weather start getting good. The CDC has already said that if you're in areas with other people that have been vaccinated,
then you guys are good to
Free.
go, right?
you know, and
But,
I'm gonna be
yeah,
honest.
right.
but
Well,
they
yeah,
still
right.
don't want you to be, but they still, even if you're fully vaccinated, that means both shots, America, both.
Correct. Correct.
That they still don't want you to go among people that you don't know. So
Right.
right now, just still be cautious. Just still be cautious. That's what everybody is screaming right now. Also in the media as well.
Yeah.
We have this senator that's or senator of the governor that's trying to release everybody like to regular work now.
Oh, it's
And
done.
everything.
Greg
Texas.
Abbott just took Texas all the way back.
Yeah, yeah, and see that's
Fully.
what and see I take that personally because that's what my children are. So yeah, my dander is up about that because you putting my children, my blood, on the line, and I don't appreciate that.
Yeah. He's even got
so yeah,
he's got the
I have
attorney
a lot to
general
say
down
about
there.
that.
He's got the attorney general down there talking about suing people if they continue to do mass mandates after they basically said not to.
And we're going to see, give it a week, we're going to see the videos of the fights. Of
Oh yeah, it's definitely
allowed
going
in
to
your
be
business.
flat out
Because a couple of
fights.
business owners have said, I'm going to
Mhm.
mass mandate, for anyone walking in my doors.
Well, see, it's your it's your business. That's like someone walking into your home and saying how you're going to run your home. Now, what you
Right.
do outside of my door, that's on you. But when you bring it inside my house and tell me, first of all, I'm the king of this castle of 7032. You being your own king, you can't come to my castle and tell me how to run my house.
Has that ever mattered during this past year to people on the other side? They don't care. Remember the walkthroughs at Walmart and Target when
Yeah.
they parade through in big numbers without a mask on? Like,
Yeah.
I dare you to stop me. They don't care.
Well, you know what, Brad? It was funny. It seemed
They
like
never care.
white folks in Costco was always the issue. I don't know what it was about Costco, but it was something about Costco. Maybe y'all should try BJ.
Shrimp.
Go to
It's the
BJ.
chicken and the
Chicken and the
shrimp.
shrimp.
I'm gonna leave that alone, B.
They need to stop. They be them little old ladies. They be them old ladies and they're doing them little demonstrations. Man, don't be doing that to them. Put on a mask. That's somebody's grandmama.
But this bill, they say it's the most significant bill in almost 100 years. I mean,
It
since
is.
the Depression.
Yeah.
But the $1,400 is in there, but the child tax credits, that's huge.
Yes.
It's going
Yeah.
to mean a lot to working families with children, single mothers, whole family. It's going to mean a lot to people across this country.
And Brad,
Far more than the $1,400.
and with I failed to mention, but with the unemployment that they extended through September the 6th, one thing, if you've ever been on unemployment, you want all that money because it's already just a portion of what you used to make. So you're always sitting there deciding, should I have them take out taxes or not? Because if I go ahead and take the whole thing now, at the end of the year, I'm gonna be in a mess. But what they've done is that they even made it where the first $10,200 of paid unemployment money, no tax.
Nice.
That's huge.
That is very
People that don't make a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's huge. Now let's talk about this minimum wage thing. So the minimum wage was part of this bill initially. The House passed it that way. The only reason they had to come back to the House is because the Senate made a couple of concessions. Taking out the minimum wage was one, reducing the unemployment from $400 a week to $300 a week was another one. And a lot of that was to appease some of the more moderate Democrats / half Republicans, Joe Manchin,
Yeah.
We could,
exactly.
we could just say Joe Manchin. Yeah.
Yeah. That's all.
Now,
yeah.
sidebar. I started hearing a lot of this too because, Joe Manchin needs to go. But
He
here's
do.
the problem.
Honest to God.
And here's the problem. I'm going to say this. If you push Joe Manchin too much, Chuck Schumer, and he knows this, he's going to do what Arlen Specter did. I don't know if y'all remember Arlen Specter from Pennsylvania. Arlen Specter decided that I've had enough. I'm going to change parties. There is nothing keeping Joe Manchin from saying, I now decide I'm going to be a Republican, and he can become a Republican, and that does a lot of things. Number one, now it's not 50-50, it's 49-50.
Right.
I'm sorry, it's 51-49. I'll get my math right.
49.
The worst thing of it is Mitch McConnell then becomes the majority leader all over again. And nothing that the House passes will ever see the floor. So Chuck
we'll have
Schumer,
another Obama,
pretty much.
block.
Obama Part 3.
Yeah.
And what's going to happen is they're still going to probably pay the price in the midterms because a Democrat is in the White House. So you lose the Senate just like that. You're going to lose the House in 2022. And they're just going to have a field day passing anything from, and trust me, a filibuster won't get in their way because they'll be like, what's a filibuster?
Yeah, what is that?
They acting right now about the sanctity of the filibuster. Let them have the House and the Senate and see if they understand what a filibuster is. If they do that, Roe versus Wade, everything else is going to be on the table.
Yep.
Trust me. All that.
Again.
So
again.
So Schumer knows he has to stroke this guy, and Manchin likes to be stroked. He knows he holds a lot of cards right now. That's why they need to start trying to flip some of these other states. Toomey is not running again in Pennsylvania. I think Portman said he's out in Ohio. So Ryan may be trying to run for his seat. There's my man down in Missouri, he's leaving, not coming back. So there's a couple of other spots that they may be able to take so that when Joe Manchin finally decides to become a Republican, it won't even matter. But Joe Manchin is in West Virginia where their minimum wage is very, very low. And even the governor, the Republican governor, is all in favor of all this stuff. He seemed more like a Democrat than Joe Manchin does. As a matter of fact, a lot of the local Republicans sound more like Democrats than the Republicans in Congress because they're supportive of all this aid, because they're the ones that have to be the executors of this funding. They're running out of funding. A lot of this money is going to states and municipalities where they're running out of money. They're having to go, and are we going to have to furlough people? First responders, firemen, police officers. They always talk about Blue Lives Matter, and they all voted no.
Immediately after the bill was signed, you saw the benefits. Remember, I think it was American or Delta Airlines had already sent out letters. And they happily said, you know what, tear those up, rescue.
Sure did.
There's no need, we will not need to furlough you. So we saw that immediately.
Yeah. So they're going to get a lot of credit for that. But with the minimum wage, we're talking about raising people out of the poverty level. $15 an hour, $7.25 an hour, I think came out to roughly about $15,000 a year. Is that right?
I thought it was 30.
Yeah.
Say it, Lori?
I thought you said it was 30, but
No,
maybe I'm incorrect.
725
It's
times 52. It's $15,080. They were trying to raise it to 15. That would put people at 30,000.
30,000. Yes, I was incorrect.
Now, $30,000 a year for people isn't the greatest livable wage, but if you got two people in the house making 30,000, you can get by. You can do what you need to do. But 15, but 15.
You know what that means for a teenager working at the Quickie Mart? I mean, that's real money coming in.
And see,
Right.
I'm with you on I'm with you on that one, Brad. Because my thing is like they're acting like they're afraid because only thing it's going to do, and especially by us being the largest consumers, us being African Americans, we are the biggest spenders. It's going to go right back to the economy anyway. So what are you so afraid of? I mean, I know what it is. It's credit. You want the credit. You want to be able to say that you did it, and that's why you giving the Dems and everybody such a hard time. Is that it?
No, that's not it.
No.
I mean, that's pretty close. It's not it. So, as your history teacher for the day,
All right, come
I
on
like
there,
to point
Jermaine.
out that this country, no, seriously, this country is built on free labor or damn near free labor or forced labor. And so there is a mentality up here that says we need to have people who are barely hanging on, because those people are easily manipulated. Those people, and again, I always use this every week now, it seems, where I talk about the hierarchy of needs and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're not having your needs met, you can't get above that. So if you can't get above that, you can't vote.
Right.
You can't invest. You can't really cause trouble, because it's, I always say, if you get your butt
You
kicked
can't
every day you go
afford
to
to cause
school,
trouble.
you're not, you can't be kicking anybody else's butt. If every day you got to flinch because somebody moved their arms and stuff, you can't be swinging your arms.
Yeah.
And so they want to make sure that there's a base, because America's a Ponzi scheme, a pyramid scheme.
Right.
It is based on all this labor down here, and there are people who get paid off of that labor.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you raise people up out of minimum wage and stuff, and you get them out of that poverty level and stuff, obviously you say to yourself, well, we made the minimum wage, because $15 an hour, let's be clear, is like 5-6 years ago would have been a good minimum wage. It actually needs to be higher now, because the living wage it needs to be higher.
For here, it's 17. For Charlotte, it's estimated at 17 already.
Yeah, and that's because that's cost of living. You can't afford housing, which is your bottom level of that hierarchy of needs and stuff. Shelter, you can't afford shelter if you're not making around $17 an hour, not by yourself.
Right.
And so, and I believe that when you have people like making $8 an hour, $9 an hour and stuff, you actually increase things like abuse, because now people are having to huddle together with people and stay in relationships and stuff. You could look at any economic study, and they'll tell you, if you raise people out of poverty and stuff, number one, crime goes down.
Yes, absolutely.
You're spending less money on services.
You're happier, you're healthier.
Yeah. So people that can afford do better, they're healthier. So your health system's not as burdened. Your police system's not as burdened. Your services in general, food stamps, all kind of aid that go to people and stuff, those are unburdened, and you get that money back that way.
Right.
Plus, those people that are making a higher wage are paying more taxes.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So if you look at it and you go, well, if that's true, if Jermaine is telling me the truth about this, then why wouldn't you want to do that?
And that's what I'm saying. What is the big hang up? What are we so afraid of?
Racism.
Huh?
Racism. He's right.
Racism.
He's right, but it's even deeper than that. Let me go a little deeper with it.
Okay.
A lot of these Republicans, they're friends. We established earlier own businesses. When you're used to making a certain amount of money, and now somebody's telling you that you're going to have to take some of that money that you're used to making and pay your workers more, even though you're still all right if you do that, but that's still less than I was making. That's one thing. The other thing is that you got to realize that if you start making enough money to move out of them bad neighborhoods, now you might start moving in our neighborhood.
You ain't gonna stay. And bro,
okay.
That's another thing. You go.
When we sit here trying to build more prisons, we can't justify it if y'all ain't committing as many crimes. We can't give the police more money when y'all ain't acting a fool, and we sitting there trying to figure out different ways to kill you on camera.
Right.
And get away with it.
So that's the realness of it right there.
It's money. It's funding. Unfortunately, crime is a great business for them.
It is. Just like war. Just like what Jermaine, I forget sometimes that you are a veteran. we can attest to that. We know that the biggest moneymaker outside of like local things that's going on is war.
Yeah.
And that's why every time there's a Republican in the office, what are people like you and I more than likely going to have to do? We're going to have to go answer the call.
What y'all do?
Go out there
Y'all
and go out there
selling
and help
guns and tanks
them money.
to people that are y'all sell guns and tanks to other countries.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's every day. That happens every day.
Yeah.
But what really, it's the things that you don't think about. So anybody who's been deployed overseas will tell you that, especially in a place like Iraq or Afghanistan and stuff, so you're going to be on a base, and so that base is a small city.
Mm-hmm.
And everything there, the military decided back in the 90s when they did their some big budget cuts and stuff, and they downsized the military, was that there were a lot of things that military people didn't need to be doing. There were certain jobs that we had to do, trigger pullers, stuff like that, had to be military and stuff. But the guy serving you lunch had to be military.
Exactly.
The guy, the guy cleaning up here, doing this, a lot of military stuff. And so, and so when we talk about the money from war and stuff, it's from the contracts that are handed out to security teams, to cleaners. One of the things I was actually in Afghanistan when there was an army unit that was over the prison there, and they accidentally started burning some Korans, which led to a shutdown. Well. It was bad judgment, cultural sensitivity. It was a mistake. It wasn't ill-willed, but it happened. And when the Afghanis found out that they had done that stuff, all the Afghanis went on strike and left the base.
Right.
And so what that did is that those are the guys that brought in our black water and our clean water. So the black water is poop and stuff. And so all the bathrooms and stuff shut it down, because there's not like there's plumbing there and there's not a water treatment system there. It was all tanked in and stuff, and that's what the Afghanis did. And so when you talk about the services that move a base and stuff, so being on a base that kind of got shut down because of some foolishness and stuff, it makes life harder. So that's when we say going to war. It's all these defense contracts and stuff that go over to people. Hey, well, we need somebody for this. Simple things like on that base, there was a Pizza Hut, there's a Burger King, there's civilian guys working there. There's drivers. I mean, just everything that you can think of that you would need in a self-sustaining city and stuff. Everything is going on over there, and that's where that money is. Because you're thinking, well, it's not about the bombs or uniforms. They give me all the money to me. It's about those contracts that are going on over there, and that's where the money. And you don't have a tanker contract that you can go with the government stuff, but there are billionaires out there who do, and that's how they make their money. Giving it to a cousin and stuff for a defense contract and stuff. A lot of that stuff that came up during with George Bush Jr. and Cheney.
Fox, Desert Fox, Desert Storm time frame.
Well, all of them really, but yes, there's always
pretty much
Blackwater team, all that stuff. So so it is about money. Everything's about money at the end of it.
And it's that feeling of making certain class of people feel like that desperation, or feeling like they can never get out of it, because the way everything is set up is for them to only get to a certain level. They don't want you to be successful that way.
Well, I got to have somebody walk my dog. When I go to Starbucks, somebody's got to get my order. You got to keep people in a position where they can't do better, because if they can do better, then what am I supposed to do? Because I know I'm not going to get one of these American jobs that everybody talking about, and so you keep people in servitude, which again, this country was kind of built on that idea that it was okay to keep people in a subservient manner.
But it's funny, because that not the very thing that they was fleeing from?
Well, so here's
they were fleeing from it, but don't mind putting you in it.
Remember this thing about human psychology and stuff. People who are preyed upon as children a lot of times become predators themselves. They escape that feeling, and as soon as they got some power, they turned it on somebody else weaker than them. That's
Yep.
why you have people who are
Right.
who've been abused as children become pedophiles when they get older and stuff, because once they have the power, they actually want to assert that power, and it helps them in their psyche from not feeling inferior anymore to I'm in control of this thing. And that's exactly
Right.
what happened to the Protestants and stuff. Yeah, they were persecuted and stuff. Yeah, they were run out of town. And quite frankly, the trash that great grandchildren were, I understand why they were run out of town. I think the English had something going on. They knew they were trash. They had to run over here.
Yeah.
They still were trash. I'm sorry, Patriots.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
sorry, I'm going too far. I'm real myself back in. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but I'm sorry. I'm real.
You ain't go too far. You right now. I see you. You right now. You ain't going nowhere.
No, you good. You good. I'm sorry, Lori.
You good. You
Lori,
good.
what are you thinking? What you thinking
Oh
about?
no, I was just trying to reel that one back in because y'all were just on the left. Wait till you do that.
Your granddaddy trash. Your grandmama trash.
All of your trash.
All of your
I was with you, man. Look, I was on the bus. I was on the bus.
Okay,
so.
okay. But you see what I'm saying? You know, there are human factors at play here in our society that we generally don't talk about. I like to talk about them because I don't care. But I really do believe that. I believe that in the same thing with people who watched like little boys who grew up watching their mothers in an abusive relationship. A lot of those kids turn out to be just like those abusers abusing their woman because that's what they saw.
Right.
And so there's a lot of trauma in American society that we talk about, mental health, mental wealth and all that kind of stuff, or whatever the kids are saying now.
Mhm.
But yeah, it really is true that there's a lot of trauma in our society, and it's passed down through generation to generation to generation. In the Black community, we have that trauma.
Absolutely.
All the time.
And it's untreated trauma.
Untreated trauma.
Untreated. So we don't get to process it. So now you've got, you see what's happening. It's right in front of us. You've got new Negroes emerging, right? So they kind of saying, you know what, you American born, the ADOS, the American descendants of slavery, tired of you. Yeah, we hear you. You're loud. We can't help but to hear you. We're kind of tired of you. You know what I mean? So we want these other people to replace you.
Right.
You know, the Africans, first or second generation to replace you, or maybe some folk from the Caribbean. I don't know. I don't know. I want to get too deep in the mud, but there are people
Shout out to the DR.
who can replace you. What'd you say?
Shout out to the DR.
I'm just saying.
The
I'm
DR.
just saying.
DR.
So it's a plan. It's a plan. It's a plan because they don't know what to do with us. They don't know how to solve the American Negro problem. And it's been that way for 200, 300 years. What to do?
Now, when you say that they don't know how to deal with the American Negro problem, is it still bouncing back to the whole thing of they really know how to do it, or they're trying to figure out the win-win portion of it?
Well,
Because if they figure it out, it'll be even. We'll go right back to the point that Jermaine was making. And then there's very little servitude and everything else. So the problem is they really do know how to solve it. They just trying to figure out how can I solve it and still be on top.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Nobody ever gives up power.
No.
There
Not
you go.
Not
There
in
you
the
go.
history of this world has anybody
Right.
advocated power and
No,
said, you know
power
what?
has to be taken.
It has to be taken. It has
It
to
has
be
to
taken.
be.
No one ever, because if, we all have friends of different nationalities.
Yeah.
Because if you work in corporate America, go anywhere else, that's just what it is. We're a minority in this country. You're going to have other people. And generally, when you talk about these people and their mindsets and stuff, they don't see anything wrong with the things they say, the things they do, the way the status quo is.
Mhm.
So why would they give you more when they think you have enough?
Right. And you should be grateful for
Grateful
what you
for it.
have.
Oh Lord, yeah. Shut up and dribble.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
That's why they can't. All I'm asking you to do is when they play this stupid anthem, You stand up, as Jerry Jones
Bow
said,
down.
as Jerry
Bow
Jones
down.
said, toe on
Mhm.
the line.
Yep, toes on the line. He did say that.
He said that.
Bro, I was like, oh my God.
I'm giving you all this money. I need your toe on that line. Can't you
But
just
he
be
went
grateful
back
for
and
what I
tried to
give?
backpedal out of that too.
He can't.
But
can't.
like you said, like once it's out there, it's out there.
It's out there. It's out
And
there.
man,
Yeah.
I ain't gonna
You
lie
know?
to you. That when he said that made it really tough
Well, yes and no.
for me to be a
Because
fan.
because you got to understand.
Because I'm not a Jerry Jones fan. I'm a Cowboys fan.
No, I get it. I get it.
So,
But you have to understand with
It's
him,
still,
he's been successful,
I know.
CJ. He's been
Yeah.
successful in that same plan that Jermaine described of that the servitude.
yeah.
You know, he's benefited all of his life from that. He doesn't see anything wrong with saying, "Hey, I'm the HWI, whatever it is, you know, our version of HNIC.
Yeah.
Hey, the head, HCIC. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
HCIC, and
Mhm.
the way things run is through me.
Caucasian, man. Caucasian.
You know,
Mhm.
I'm gonna give you what I want you to have, and you need to be glad that that's what I'm giving you, because that's better than what you could have had. That's their mentality. So they don't want you to have a livable wage, because there is a dependency structure in place for you to stay in the position that you're in. Democrats had this idea that we want to raise people out of poverty. Republicans' idea is no, we don't, because then our donors need those people in those positions to be desperate enough to work for these jobs, desperate enough to go to these meat processing plants where they're trying to peel back regulations so they can make even more money and have you work in dangerous conditions. That's what they want. Because if
But our
you start
chicken
making more
parts will
money-
be bigger. If you lift the regulations, they can do what they want, and our chicken parts will be bigger. Wings and the legs this big.
Yeah, it might have a couple people's thumbs in them, but that's true.
Right.
You know, what's a
But
finger,
like
what's a
Jermaine
pinky finger
says-
here and there?
Jermaine's talking about the Ponzi scheme. The Ponzi scheme requires that the people at the bottom work the hardest.
Exactly.
It requires
Exactly.
to support it, like the vacuum, it sucks it all up to the top of the scheme. I mean,
Correct.
that's what makes a successful Ponzi scheme.
Ooh,
You know,
gosh.
Yeah.
when you
Yeah,
when
so-
you look at the numbers about who pays taxes and stuff, when you look at the top, let's say top 10%, it's actually less than that. They pay less tax than the bottom 60%,
They do.
because like Amazon didn't pay any tax.
Right.
All these corporations, they find ways and they don't pay tax, but you'll pay tax. And so when they get the money back and stuff, and they go, well, we're going to give it to the corporations, that's your money. That's not the corporation money. They didn't put nothing in on this.
Exactly. They didn't put in on it.
And so that's the Ponzi scheme, right? Is that we're going to have trickle down economics, and we're going to spread it up here first to the people who didn't put in on it.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually it may work its way. It's not going to, but eventually it may work its way down to you. And so that's the
And if it
thing.
did, it was your money to begin with.
Yes. If you want to stimulate the economy and stuff, you give it to low income people, because especially the black
They're gonna
community,
get it right back.
Black dollars stay in
Right.
the dollar stays in the black community like 6 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours, something like that.
Bro, I'm telling you, we cannot hold on to a dollar.
I was about
Yeah,
to say,
so
cannot.
I mean, if they needed a case study, tax season every year, hello.
Bro,
Why you think so many of
think
y'all
about
go to H&R
so
Block
many
to get their
30-day
rapid return?
tags, man. So many 30-day tags can block up 485.
Hey, if you have not already gotten your crab legs on order, I'm afraid by this weekend they're gonna be out.
Oh my God.
That stimulus, they're talking about the first stimulus checks could be in your bank account this
Listen,
weekend.
CarMax,
I'm saying go ahead and
look,
get on board.
Look,
Some people are gonna
I'm
have that
telling
money
you, in
this
my neighbor-
weekend, yo.
listen, man. when that first stimulus check came out, every other car I saw was tagged CarMax. I was like, Jesus. I couldn't believe it.
He ain't lying.
On Albemarle Road alone,
ain't lying.
it was like 20 cars Every last one of them said CarMax.
CarMax.
Hey,
I was like,
and-
oh.
And so what the great thing about that is that they're gonna get those cars back and resell them again.
Exactly.
The scheme is on.
Well, they do the same
It
thing
works.
with the.
It
They
works.
do the same thing with renting furniture and stuff like that too.
Oh,
Everybody know Rent a Center been in business, stay in business because
that's how they
tax season.
survive. That's how they survive.
We
They
gonna come
know.
we gonna come. All you did was make 2 payments.
Yep.
You missed that third one. They not.
And man, and look, let's not
We're
forget
here for
how,
the TV.
let's not forget how those military bases be doing it up in like in them Commonwealth states like Virginia.
Yeah.
Bruh, you can't even go. I mean, specials for anybody that's military.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know what? Don't even worry about even keeping it up. We'll just pull out your allotment.
Everybody going to the mall buying gold teeth and fronts
Oh,
and
Lord.
chains and track suits.
Yeah, you know, that was our poison back in the day.
Going to Red Lobster. And
Gold
Carrabba's. I
feet.
can never go to Red Lobster and Carrabba's during tax season.
Yeah.
I don't do that. Yeah, I gotta
Right.
I gotta take Lori out to Del Frisco's because they probably ain't gonna pop up over there. We can do that at Capitol Grill or something like that. Gotta make me spend more money.
Chris.
Nobody gonna make you spend your money. Don't hold on to your little bit. Spend you hold on to it.
Did you say a little bit?
Your little bit of money.
A lot of bit.
Listen, you can hold on to your
A
money.
lot of bit.
He got that 1400.
That's
Well,
fine.
a lot of Republicans, the turtle Mitch McConnell was worried about $1,400 because he was worried about $1,400 because he said that if we give them $1,400, they might not go back to work. I don't know.
Ah, you figure that? Boy, you gonna make me cuss just then.
But that's what they saying. That's why they like that about the unemployment.
But for
You're
like
paying
a
them
whole
not to
week,
go to
they
work.
won't go. We won't hold. That's what we're saying now.
Yeah.
That 1,400 is gonna hit our hand. I guarantee you by the following weekend.
And be gone before April. That money is gone before April, y'all. They
you
know that.
you still worried about trying not to get kicked out your house
Exactly.
because you forgot to pay everything but the mortgage.
No.
And you know what? We
you
joke
get
and
rid-
laugh because that's kind of how we are. But everybody's the same way. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Everybody, that's going to be treated the same exact way.
Yeah, and that's everybody really.
You know what I mean? That money's going to be spent relatively quickly.
Oh,
But
yeah.
they know, but they know that the people that benefit the most from that, the way that we have to live is different than the people that tell us that that's too much money for us.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't know that because they're not sitting here living paycheck to paycheck.
Mhm.
You know, they don't have to worry about the rent of one house. They got 2 or 3 other houses.
But see, you know what though? I'm a run with you a little bit, but I just realized something too whenever I was in the military, and even the officers, the high-ranking officers was getting kicked out. And whenever I was, I had the privilege to be in on some of these council meetings that they would have. Money or no money, either you're good with money or you're not.
Yeah.
Right.
Cause no matter whether you make 20,000 or 200,000, you're gonna treat that amount of money the exact same way as if I was treating it. If you're bad with it, you're just gonna be bad.
Yes,
You're
right.
just gonna be
It's
in
relative.
the right. You're just gonna be in that upper bracket with those higher numbers. So they did. They had the exact same concerns as someone that was on the enlisted side. They don't know what they was gonna do with their lives. They had mortgages out the behind. They had multiple cars they was about to lose. Their homes.
Right.
You know, so I mean, it's all the same.
Yeah. They got to
So-
consolidate homes, consolidate girlfriends. They can't
Yeah.
support that lifestyle anymore. That's true.
Right.
It does hit it. You know, there's something
Sounds
that
like
hit
sounds
different.
like Donald Trump. Sounds a little bit like Donald Trump,
The
right?
richest
It
broke
will be.
motherfucker.
It will be.
The richest broke person you've ever seen.
I mean, a lot of people.
Hey,
with this
Brian, you
money-
got to edit that out, bro.
No.
Yeah, a lot of people with this money are gonna you know, we joke about it, but there are a lot of people who are behind on bills, who are gonna be catching up on their water bills, or be catching up on electric bills and stuff like that with this money. And this money, exactly what it's meant for, is gonna help pull some people out who could get the assistance and get them current and stuff. I mean, we, like I say, we're bad with money, whatever and stuff. Hey, if you need an AR, my boy Jeff Parsons, from about $1,100 to $1,300 will make you a custom AR. That's where my money's going. Jeff, I'm putting my order in now. Because you know, who don't need another gun? Yeah. I knew he was gonna pull it up. Yeah. If you need one, CJ, my boy will hook you up. But
it ain't never too far. It ain't never too far away.
Yeah.
Reach out and touch.
All right. I did not know with them tonight. I thought that was on. It is Thursday. Okay.
But that's what the money really, you know, we joke about the crab legs and stuff, but that's what the money really. There's a lot of single parents out there who are looking for, you know, this is going to help them with childcare. This is going to put some food on the table for some people and stuff. And so, honestly, I got some bills I'm gonna pay off with it. You know, that's a lot of that. You know, most of that money is gonna go to a credit card that I want to pay that. Yeah. So you know, it is a good thing. The Democrats, while not again addressing everything on the wish list, the socialist wish list that we have and stuff, they are off to I think a good start, a decent start in the first 50 days of their administration. This is day number 52 for Biden's administration. So halfway in his first 100 days, he's got this landmark legislation that he just signed, which I would almost guess is the reason he didn't sign it yesterday. He wanted to sign it today because this was the halfway mark, so you can say that he had already done that. 75 million people vaccinated, already going to surpass his 100 million that he wanted in his first 100 days.
He's running, baby. He's running. He got the baton, baby. He running.
Well, you know, the sad thing is that Republicans, what you see is the reason they're reading, they're focused on this dumb stuff is because Biden hasn't given them anything to energize their base with.
Right.
You know, and partly because he's not black. Now, because Obama was doing the same stuff, and that was enough to get their base energized and stuff. But here's Joe, somebody said they were senile and stuff, who's been making policy, who's getting this slowly getting his cabinet together because he's getting jostled around in the Senate and stuff. But he's getting these policies out here, and that's the reason that he didn't really care about Trump, because he knew how important it was to try to get his stuff set up, and he didn't want people being delayed messing around with Trump.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, he also knew that Trump's troubles are going to play themselves out in all these different places now anyway. So, and he also knew that, hey, once I get Merrick Garland put in place, if there's anything that he feels like needs to be followed up on, hey, by all means. And that has nothing to do with politics. And he can have a certain cloud of separation with that because the Justice Department is doing their own thing. I'm taking care of policy. That's that whole adage that they like to use about walking and chewing gum at the same time. Yep. That's where that comes from. So I'm gonna handle the policy, Merrick. You go ahead and lock them up. And you just let me know what you're gonna do. And I support you. And that's all they're doing right now. But you're right. 52 days in, 75 million vaccines. We're probably gonna be well over 200 million by the time he hits his first 100 days. Another thing that bill did do is it also allocates a lot of money for schools. Republicans all this time talking about it's important to get kids back in school. They're getting behind.
Schools are safe. Schools are safe. And it gives them money for a lot of them to get the ventilation right and get all the other stuff right. Make sure the teachers are getting vaccinated so that going to school is not a petri dish and we just sitting here spreading the virus around. The whole idea about waiting a little bit longer was the simple fact that variants are popping up, and we want to make sure that all these doses of vaccines that we're ordering will still be able to fight those variants. At some point, if we don't get everybody vaccinated, those variants will start to take over to the point that those vaccines do absolutely nothing, and you're right back at square one all over again. Well,
in New York, where it first blew up, variants are now 51% of what they're seeing in the hospitals. 50%
Wow.
of people that they're seeing have a variant.
Wow.
Some are saying that it's deadlier than the previous strain. So
Yes.
we don't know how it's going to play out. And again, once it hits New York, it hit New York really, really hard. Like I said, we were losing 800 people a day at one time. Because we live like this. We're vertical, right? So
Right.
we don't need to see another more contagious, more deadlier strain hit New York. Because done a pretty damn good job of having it, dealing with it, and pushing it back. So
Yeah.
it's scary. You don't know how it's going to play out.
That's true.
It's not over.
Oh no, it's far from over. You just said.
Yeah, but at least
but
now,
you-
at least now, I think we got some promise, and we can see a little light at the end of the tunnel.
Mhm.
Well, you know what? This is a year since the virus really came, and we started shutting everything down. And what we know now, 365 days later, is a whole lot more than what we knew then. Because back then we were just like, oh, we're gonna work from home for about a week, 2 weeks.
It's going to
Okay,
be fun.
then.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah. You know,
Yeah.
okay, wait a minute. It's been a month now. Okay,
Right.
I can't go back to the office. Wait, what? You know,
Right.
until what we're doing now, and there's a lot of things now that I think even when the vaccine is, the vaccines are done, and COVID's really tamped down. There's a lot of things that we've adapted to that I don't think we're going to be able to go back from, and that could be for the good because we've learned how to work under certain kind of conditions and exist and things like that. A lot of times you don't find out what it is that you can do until you have to do it. So anyway, let's leave it there because we
So,
have definitely hit an
just-
hour. I'm sorry, go ahead, Brad.
Can I hit you with just one thing before
Yeah, absolutely.
52 or 53 of Joe's administration?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of quiet. He's doing well. He's on a roll. The thing that's going to bite him in the butt right now is immigration, right?
Yeah,
I thought you were gonna say that damn dog.
We got to do something with it.
biting everybody. The dog biting everybody.
We got to do something with it. Something's got to give. Something's got to give.
Yes. And you know what? To what Jermaine has said, they don't have a whole lot to come at him about. That's why Dr. Seuss and all this other foolishness is coming up. That's the one thing that they're going to try to get him with because the Republican Party as a party has thrived off of fear of the other. How many times did Trump try to use caravans are coming?
They just said it the other day.
Man, like I just said, they
Just
still
said it
saying
yesterday.
it. They
The
still
caravans are
saying
coming.
it.
Right. Oh, it's caravans of COVID.
COVID.
With
Yeah, it's
caravans of
COVID.
COVID.
They're coming
That ain't
through-
what
they're
Lindsey,
coming
that ain't
through
what
Texas.
Lindsey Graham said. Lindsey Graham just let all his races down. He said, well, they might be coming today as refugees, but then they're going to turn out to be drug dealers and killers and what?
Yeah, bro, he don't even try to hide it. He don't even try to hide it.
Boy, I
You
tell
know-
you, I
you
guess
know-
we're
you know,
trying-
He's about as blendy as a bowl cut.
He terrible.
For
So
somebody,
there was one-
for somebody hiding in the closet, he does a terrible job of hiding everything else that he shouldn't show.
He play a lot of peekaboo.
That you, Lindsay? Well, I do the clown.
Hey, did you guys see the story? Did you guys see the story of the kindergarten teacher who made her student, her little black student, clean out a clogged up toilet with his hands? Did you see that?
No.
No. Oh no.
She made a 5-year-old boy
Yes. It's in the news.
clog a toilet with his hands.
Well, Brad, that's just shitty.
Bro,
Okay, you know what? That shit ain't going down like that, bro. We got
that's a good one,
We gon-
CJ.
we
That's a
gon-
good one.
shit ain't going down like that.
That's a good one. But it's out in the open, man. It's out in the open. Nobody's hiding it anymore. Nobody's hiding it.
And so,
Y'all got it bad, man. Y'all
I'm
got it
sorry, that was
That was
Yeah,
good.
that's
That was good.
I keep a straight
I
face.
thought I was gonna
I tried to keep a straight face. That was good. I had to.
And on that,
bad.
Oh, God.
Y'all
and on
bad.
that note,
Mm.
Yeah, I am going to have to do some editing, or maybe not. Who knows?
No, keep that one. Keep that one. Keep
Yeah,
that one.
okay.
Oh God.
Okay. Well, everybody, that's what you get with Head to Head. If you would like to be
Jermaine
a
started it. Jermaine
did
started
start it. If you would like
Jermaine
to
always starts it. Jermaine
if you'd like
always.
to be a panelist on our show, please hit us up at theparkermedia@gmail.com. We definitely want to have a lively conversation about things that are going on in the world. And we thank everybody for tuning in on YouTube and on Roku. Okay. And anyway, we're going to give thanks to our panelists, Lori Parker, CJ Jones, Brad Coughlin, and Mr. Home for Sale, the franchise. If you need a realtor in North and South Carolina, I will go ahead and do this bid for him. Homes for Sale through Jermaine Parker Realty, North and South Carolina. Talk to him. He'll let you know, are you ready to get a house? Are you ready to sell your house? All of those different things. The number
How
is
can
right.
we reach him? If we're interested, how can we reach him?
Hey, you know what, Brad? That's an interesting question. You can reach me at 704-649-2586, or you can just go to www.JermaineParkerRealtyLLC.com. Check out the website. Free home evaluations on there for you guys if you're trying to figure out how much your house is worth, or just give me a text and I can tell you. The market is hot. The competition is low. There's tons of buyers out there. I can make you a ton of money.
Wow.
I don't have a
That's
microphone.
an elevated speech for your ass right there. That's a
I
good
don't have a
one.
microphone to drop, but that segment was brought to you by Jermaine Parker Realty. How about that? Hopefully the check is in the mail. Anyway, everybody, thank you so much. It's been another episode of Head to Head with Brian Parker. I am he, and I will see you again next week. Y'all take care, and as always, wear a damn mask.
Please.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. Comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. Comma and a comma.